Here begins everything. The story begins with a reflection about how there are moments in life that define us, and it is implied that this is a love story. We meet Tessa, who is preparing to enter university with the help of her boyfriend Noah and her mother. Upon arriving at the dormitory, she meets Steph and her girlfriend Tristan, who promise to take her to parties and make her have a good time. However, her mother becomes furious upon finding out, and Tessa tries to calm her down, although her mother warns her that she trusts her, but that if her belly grows in 9 months, she better forget she has a mother. In this scene, the protagonists say goodbye, and we see Steph offering weed to Tessa, who reminds her that she promised her mother and that she will keep her word. However, on her first day of classes, she meets Landon, a dark-skinned guy, and both attend class. Later, while getting ready to leave her bathroom, Tessa sees the most handsome guy at the university waiting for Steph. This guy is arrogant and only thinks about partying. The next day, Tessa encounters him in the cafeteria, and his gaze makes her melt. Steph keeps insisting on taking her to a party, and Tessa finally gives in, breaking her promise. They arrive at the place and meet Hardin, who turns out to be the handsome guy from before. In the middle of the party, they play truth or dare, and we discover that our friend is a virgin. They dare her to kiss Hardin, but she refuses. Her boyfriend calls her, but he reproaches her for having fun, and she decides to hang up. Later, in Hardin's room, full of books and things, Tessa enters and gets nervous when she sees him. They almost kiss, but she ultimately decides to leave the party. In the literature class, Landon argues with Hardin about Pride and Prejudice. After the class, Landon reveals to Tessa that Hardin and he are related because his mother is engaged to Hardin's father. At night, we hear her roommate almost making love. The next day in the cafeteria, Hardin approaches Tessa and proposes to start over. He invites her to his favorite place, and together they walk until they reach a lake where it is very hot. They decide to cool off by swimming, and while they are in the water, Hardin asks Tessa who she loves most in the world. She responds that it is easy, that she loves him. After a long conversation, Hardin tells Tessa that they cannot just be friends, and the two kiss. Later, Hardin and Tessa decide to go to dinner together, and she asks him questions about his past. However, he tells her he does not want to talk about that at the moment. At that very moment, they run into Molly and Steph, which angers Hardin, and he asks Tessa to wait for him at the bar. Tessa tells Hardin that she wants him to tell her about them, but he tells her not to because there is nothing between them. Tessa lies down, and Hardin is on her bed and starts touching her subtly, but it was only a dream. The next day, Noah arrives to visit our protagonist, and he takes her to a nighttime picnic. At the party, they play a game where they pass a piece of paper from mouth to mouth, but Jace fails on purpose to kiss Tessa, causing a fight between him and Hardin. Hardin, now completely furious, decides to leave. That night, Tessa receives a call from Landon and goes to see him at his house. There, in the garden, she sees Hardin, who has destroyed the house while drunk. He throws the bottle he was drinking, and Tessa tries to pick it up but cuts her fingers. Then, the gentleman, the womanizer, the conqueror, takes her to his room and tends to her wounds. After so much practice, both of them get heated, and the gentleman moves down toward her intimate parts. Noah discovers the relationship between Tessa and Hardin, which leaves him heartbroken. Finally, Tessa decides to show her love for Hardin, and they both decide to give themselves a chance. They play hide-and-seek in the library, but just when they are hiding from the guard, Hardin reads a fragment from a book, and at that moment, the guard discovers them and chases them. As the days pass, we see how love triumphs, and they are about to be intimate. However, at that precise moment, Tessa's mother arrives and scolds her, telling her to end things with that boy or lose all financial support for her education. Hardin surprises Tessa by taking her to a special room that belongs to a friend of his father, where he proposes that they live together. As days pass, we see how their relationship strengthens. She is so in love that she even forgets to go to school, resigning herself to repeating the academic year. Hardin and Tessa attend the wedding of Hardin's father with Landon's mother, and during the celebration, the father gives a speech. Hardin listens attentively and tells Tessa that the only thing he remembers about his father is that he was a drunkard and that his mother was mistreated by the men he got involved with when Hardin was just a child. The two protagonists enjoy a romantic dance and then retire to an intimate place where they finally consummate their love during almost 40 seconds of pure, unrestrained passion. Tessa returns to school intending to save the semester. In the bathroom, the aforementioned Molly appears to bother our friend, but she sends her packing and decides to leave. In her room, Tessa hears Hardin's cell phone ringing and decides to check the messages that Molly has been sending him. She confronts Hardin about it, but he chooses to leave. Tessa keeps sending messages, but he does not respond, and she waited with her little face soaked for him to come with roses, with 1,000 roses, for her. Already annoyed, she leaves the room, and while walking down the street, she finds Hardin's car entering a restaurant. Upon entering, she sees him having fun with his friends. Tessa gets furious and asks her boyfriend if there is something between him and Molly, to which he denies any romance. However, we discover that the womanizer and conqueror Hardin had started pursuing Tessa only as a personal challenge, intending to make her fall in love and then break her heart, as Molly had recorded a video right after Tessa rejected him during the Truth or Dare game at the beginning of the movie. Our friend controls herself and decides to run out of there, but he follows her and tries to explain to her that this was before he met her and that now he really loves her. The next day, Tessa returns home to reconcile with her mother and also apologizes to Noah. She then returns to school and, in the following weeks, cuts ties with Steph and her group of friends, moving to a different dormitory. Additionally, we see how Hardin is hurt by Tessa's indifference. In the final scenes, we see how the literature professor gives Tessa an envelope with the essay written by Hardin. Upon opening it, a series of photographs of the places they used to go when their love still shone are revealed, when Hardin was dying for her eyes, her mouth, her hair. Tessa decides to head to the lake, and as you might imagine, she finds Hardin sitting beside her. While narrating his letter, he tells her, "Once you asked me who I loved most in the world, and the answer is you." Guy wakes up, but Jennifer punches him and ties him up. She threatens him, saying she will harm him if he tries anything, but instead, she records his confession. Through the recording, we learn Guy's real name is John Dickens, and he reveals his dark past, including an incident where he accidentally killed someone in a car crash. He also confesses to his plans to trap Jennifer in the elevator. Meanwhile, another security guard named Eddie arrives at the scene with his girlfriend Ruby. Eddie notices his coworker is missing and checks the security cameras, discovering Jennifer and John trapped in the elevator. Using the elevator communicator, Eddie contacts them, but Jennifer does not reveal what has happened. Eddie goes to help, but John attacks him and kills him. Afterwards, John disposes of Eddie's body in the elevator shaft and deletes all security footage to cover his tracks. Ruby eventually notices something is wrong, but before she can react, John kills her as well to eliminate all witnesses. John then takes Jennifer to a remote area, planning to dispose of her. He apologizes for everything he has done but seems to justify his actions. However, Jennifer regains her strength and fights back. She hits John, escapes, and uses a car to run him over. Finally, she takes one of the cigarettes she had as a gift, lights it, and sets fire to the scene, putting an end to John once and for all. Jennifer drives away, traumatized but alive.